So I swapped to Quazii's UI in the weeks leading up to the War Within, and while it was a little bit of an adjustment, because honestly I'm a stubborn creature of habit, I do not regret it one bit. I am so glad that I swapped to this UI. You might have seen my video earlier this year when I spoke about switching to this UI, but there have been some massive changes, not only changes that I've made to my profiles, but also changes that Quazii has made to make the whole experience of installing so much smoother, and also giving us a lot more information through some of the profiles. And before we jump into this, I do want to shout out Quazii. Thank you so much for allowing me to make this video and for giving this UI to the community for free. If you guys don't already know about Quazii, I will put a link down to his channel in the description. You should definitely check out his videos. So first, I will show you how to get this UI installed and get it all configured. And then after that, I'll show you some of the changes that I made personally if you want your UI to look exactly like mine. So this is going to come with the ElvUI profile, Weakauras for every class and spec, although I use my own Havoc WA Pack, which I will also talk about later in this video. You get a profile for Bigwigs, Details, Plater, OmniCD, Cell if you want to use it, and finally Mythic Plus dungeon routes for every dungeon in the War Within. So again, the list of all the add-ons that you'll need to get this UI installed are as follows: ElvUI, Weakauras, Bigwigs, Cell, Details, OmniCD, Plater, and Method dungeon tools. Now, if there is something you're not interested in, say you don't want to use Cell, or you don't really need the Mythic Plus dungeon routes, you can just not install those add-ons, so you don't need to get Method dungeon tools, you don't need to get Cell. It's totally up to you. Okay, so once you have all of those add-ons installed, the first thing you're going to do is go to quazii.com. That's QUAZII.com. And this will take you to his website. And from here, you want to click on QUI installer. This will take you to the installer page. And he gives a rundown of exactly what I just told you, every add-on that this is going to provide you profiles for. He also has a video here that I would highly recommend watching if you're interested in kind of learning more about this UI. And right underneath that, this is where he posts his changelog. So anytime he updates this installer with all of the profiles, you'll be able to see exactly what has changed here and if you actually need to go ahead and update, or maybe you don't need to update. So click on download latest here, and this is going to take you to a Dropbox, Google Drive. You can just download the folder. That'll go into your downloads folder. That's going to give you a zip file. From there, you're going to unzip the zip file, copy and paste the folder, and you're going to go into your program files, find World of Warcraft, go to retail, interface, add-ons, and then you're going to paste that folder into here. So this is your add-ons folder. You're going to paste the QUI installer into here, and then you're done. So once you have that put into your add-ons folder, you can get into World of Warcraft and type /QUI. This should pull up the Quazii UI installer. If it doesn't work, you may just need to do a quick reload of your game. You can just type /reload, or if that doesn't work still, then you can close down the game fully, reopen, and it should work. So when you type /QUI, it's going to pull this up. This is his installer, and this is what it uses to install all of the profiles for all of those add-ons very, very easily. You don't have to do any weird copy pasting. It's all done right through this installer. So we'll go ahead and click next, and this will take us to the home page. Now this shows if you have the add-on installed. So you can see I have everything except Cell. It says false, I don't have it. So let's say I wanted to start with the ElvUI profiles. I'll click on go to page. This takes us to the ElvUI import page. Again, just read through this. You can choose if you want to get the tank/DPS profile, or if you're a healer, you can get the healer profile. And then on the right-hand side, we have the UI scale. Now this is going to be kind of up for preference, whatever size monitor you have, whatever resolution you're playing in. You can mess around with this and see what works best for you. For me personally, my UI scale is set to 0.71, but for you, auto might work, medium might work, large might work. Just experiment with it and you'll figure it out. So from there, press next, and now this is taking you to the Weakauras import page. This is where you have access to every class's Weakauras pack. If you play Evoker, if you play Druid, if you play Death Knight, Paladin, anything. And these packages have all of the specs inside of it. So if you're playing, an Evoker, you want an augmentation and devastation spec, it has it included in here. You can also switch this drop down from class Weakauras to non-class Weakauras, and there's a whole slew of Weakauras in here that you can choose to import or not import depending on what you think you need. There's a racials and consumables, there's a battle res, Mythic Plus timer, a cast bar, keystone reroll reminder, interrupt mod. So once you've grabbed all of the Weakauras that you want, you can then press next. And now we're on to the MDT route import. So there are different classifications of routes that he has put into here. There's the push W route, which is essentially just for the pug route. You go forward, you pull the dungeon. Then he has advanced routes where you can choose to get these if you want, if you're doing higher keys. Again, you don't need to get these if you already have your own routes in MDT, but they are here as a resource if you need them. So we got all that stuff. We can go back to the index by pressing the index button down at the bottom. And we have the opportunity to import profiles for details, for Plater, Bigwigs, and OmniCD. So again, if you want to do that, you can just press this import button and that'll give you the profile. Okay, so let's talk about some of the changes that I made if you're looking to get your UI looking exactly like mine. There are a few changes that I made to the ElvUI profile. Very, very minor. I think I changed a couple of fonts. I added my total health right here at the right-hand side of my unit frame here. I do have my action bars down at the bottom. They're there if you want them. If you don't want to see them, you can hide them in ElvUI. You just have to press escape, go to ElvUI, action bars, player bars. I am using player bar 1, 5, and 6. Don't ask me why. If you want to turn them off, I would recommend not toggling the enable button. What you want to do is click on the mouse over. So this just hides it on your screen. It doesn't disable it. If you were to disable it, all of your hotkeys assigned to this action bar would then not work. So you just want to hide it. So just click on mouse over if you don't want to see it. So again, ones down here at the bottom are player bars 1, 5, and 6. Another change that I made is I moved the position of the party frames. So by default, Quazii has them kind of stacked underneath his own health bar right here. I don't necessarily like them there. It doesn't quite vibe with me. I decided to put them back in sort of the typical place. They're just over there on that side of the screen, and that's just my preference. That's where I like to see them. Now with OmniCD, there are a few things that I changed there as well. So just because we moved the party frames, I have the debuffs that our party members are getting appearing on the left side of their health bar, and then I have their available cooldowns on the right side. So I've gone through and selected things that I feel like I need to be tracking. I've deselected things that I feel like I don't need to be tracking, just to declutter it a bit. Again, this comes down to personal preference, but if you just want a direct copy of my UI, you can use my profile. So I guess I forgot to mention, the import codes for my profiles for ElvUI and for OmniCD will be down in the description of this video. There's going to be a link there you can just click on and it'll give you the text import code. You can just go to profile sharing and then import, and you'll paste that code in there, click on decode, and it will import that profile for you. Same with ElvUI. Just go to ElvUI, go to profiles, and then import, click on the import button, and then you could just paste it in there and you're good to go. Now, one more thing, if you watched my first video on Quazii's UI, the one gripe that I had with it was the audio cues that he added to his Plater profile. Don't get me wrong, these are a great addition, but my problem that I found was that although I had these audio cues happening in Plater, I also had them happening through a Weakauras pack that I was using for Mythic Plus. So they were both giving audio cues for the exact same thing at the exact same time on top of each other. So it was a bombardment of audio cues. So the solution that I found last time was that I had to go to cast colors and names, and I had to go through all of these individually and disable the audio for each single one. And while that wasn't efficient, that was the only way that I could do it. But after I made that video, somebody over at the Plater development team saw my issue, and they went ahead and added a remove all sounds button at the very bottom. So if you find yourself having that problem as well, you can just open up Plater, type /Plater, click on cast colors and names, and then down at the bottom, there's a button that says remove all sounds. Just give that a press. But again, this is going to be up to you. If you don't have a Weakauras pack that's giving you those audio cues and you find this useful, you can leave them on. It's up to you. Now, earlier I mentioned that the Quazii installer gives you Weakauras packs for every class and spec. If you play Havoc Demon Hunter, I would highly suggest using my Weakauras pack. And truthfully, me and my team put a lot of work into designing this package, and honestly, I think it is one of the best out there because it's made by people who actually main the class and play it every single day. So we kind of know what the real needs of a Havoc Demon Hunter player are, and we've accommodated this Weakauras pack with all of those solutions. So just to give you a quick rundown of what it does, you have all of your rotation buttons along the top, you have your utility and cooldowns on the bottom. You'll notice there are these bars here. The orange bars are your charges of Fell Rush. Pretty simple. They recharge as your Fel Rush is recharging. The pink bar over here on the left, that is Vengeful Retreat. The green bar on the right is Sigil of Flame. White bar over here is your Interrupt. Now you don't have to really use this. You don't have to pay attention to it if you don't want to. You might have another interrupt tracker. You use a Weakauras or even Quazii's Weakauras. It is there for the people that want it. If you don't pay attention to it, that's okay too. And then usually if I'm spec'd into Sigil of Misery, there will be another purple bar right here that tracks Sigil of Misery, but I'm just not talented into it right now, so you're not going to see that. And there are a bunch of extra features that come in this Weakauras pack that, again, are these little tiny things that a designer who doesn't necessarily play the class wouldn't know about. These are things that a true Havoc Demon Hunter main deals with every day, and we have found solutions for those. So we have a Vengeful Retreat reminder. Anytime that you're in combat and Vengeful Retreat is available to press, you have this text that pops up right here, and then you press it, it goes away. So that's just to make sure that you are using your Vengeful Retreat every 20 seconds, because you need to be using it on cooldown. We also have a Metamorphosis reminder. So what this does, it will play an audio cue if your meta has been up and available for more than 1 minute. So this is to remind you to use the cooldown, because it's very easy to forget and you can have it up and available for too long. So this will yell at you if it's ready to be used. We also have a darkness alert. When we drop darkness, it's going to glow purple. When I'm standing in my darkness, when I move out of my darkness, it is not going to glow. So this is just a good indication to tell you when you are actually standing inside of your darkness and getting the effects of it, and when you're not. So you can see I'm in it, purple glow, out of it, goes away. Now, if you look at the Fury bar here, this is your resource. We have a tracker for Immolation Auras and when they're going to expire to explode your Rage Fires. So when I press Immolation Aura, you'll see this green bar going from right to left. When that bar hits the very left, that is when your Immolation Aura expires and it explodes in a Rage Fire. We also have the Rage Fire alert. So we can see our Rage Fire stacking up damage as it ticks away.
Don't move.
And then before it explodes, it says don't move. And then it explodes. So this tells you that you shouldn't be dashing away right before your Rage Fire explodes, or, you know, Vengeful Retreating away. You want to stay nice and close to the mobs so your Rage Fire actually hits. So those are just some of the features of the Havoc Weakauras pack. Again, I'll put a link to this down in the description. I highly recommend you at least try it out, and I think you will enjoy it. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below and I'll try to answer it. You can also head over to Quazii's website where he has a complete FAQ page of every possible issue that you could face, and he has answers for each and every one. So if you run into an issue, definitely go check that out. And again, thanks to Quazii for making this UI, and thank you for allowing me to make this video. If you guys liked this video, give it a like, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe to Quazii, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.